The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I be recognized to sponsor the report of the Joint Committee.
The Majority Leader and Chairperson of the House Panel of the Joint Committees is recognized to deliver his sponsorship speech.
Mr. Senate President, Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, guests, ladies and gentlemen, the joint public session of Congress to canvass the votes for the duly elected President and Vice President in the elections of May 9, 2022, is honored and privileged to submit its report to the honorable members of the Senate and the House of Representatives in joint public session. Pursuant to the constitutional mandate of Congress and the instruction of the joint session of Congress, the Joint Committee convened on May 24, 2022 to canvass and tally the votes for the President and the Vice President. After just a day of canvassing, the task had been completed and we were set to proclaim the duly elected President and Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. The proceedings of the 2022 joint public session has been the fastest canvassing of the presidential and vice president elections results in the country since it adopted the automated election system. Foremost, due recognition must be given to the members of the Joint Committee who work round the clock to canvass the votes in order to proclaim the winners in the soonest possible time without sacrificing accuracy and fairness. The Senate panel headed by the Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Migs F. Zubiri, Senator Maria Lourdes Nancy S. Binay, Senator Franklin M. Drilon, Senator Amy R. Marcos, Senator Grace L. Poe, Senator Ralph G. Recto, Senator Pia S. Cayetano as members, and Senator Manuel Lito M. Lapid, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Aquilino Coco III, Senator Ronaldo Bato de la Rosa as alternate members. Likewise, we also take note of the diligence of the members of the House panel. Representative Jesus Crispin C. Remulla, Representative Abraham Bambol N. Tolentino, Representative Christine Singson Mihan, Representative Sharon S. Garin, Representative Manuel Jose Manix Dalipe, Representative Juliet Marie de Leon Ferrer as members, and Representatives Juan Pablo Rimpi P. Bondoc, Representative Johnny T. Pimentel, Representative Alfredo Jr. A. Garbin, and Representative Stella Luz A. Kimbo as alternate members. Credit must also be given to the officers and staff of the Commission on Elections who were able to immediately respond to the directives of the Joint Committee to explain the missing physically delivered COCs. The concerned Provincial Board of Canvassers, through their provincial election supervisors, were able to explain before the Joint Committee through virtual communication the whereabouts of the COCs. The chairpersons proceeded with the canvassing of the electronically transmitted COCs and required provincial election supervisors to submit the actual original copies of the COCs. We also commend the members of the Secretariat and the Joint Committee, both from the Senate and the House of Representatives, for their support and assistance, and the members of the media who were with us throughout the proceedings. We also express our gratitude and appreciation to the councils of the candidates who have manifested their graciousness of their respective candidates in recognizing the integrity of this election. Indeed, the healing of the country has begun, and we urge everyone to unite as a nation. Finally, credit is due to the more than 55 million Filipinos out of more than 66 million registered voters who, amidst the threat of the COVID-19, braved the long queues to exercise their right of suffrage. resulting in a record-breaking 83.11% voter turnout. Indeed, our democracy is alive and vibrant. The ever-growing political interest shown by our electorate is symbolic of the people's clamor for change, prosperity, and progress. The Joint Committee canvassed a total of 171 COCs. 132 COCs were electronically transmitted to the consolidated canvassing system by the Board of Canvassers of the provinces, cities, and overseas absentee voting countries. 39 COCs were physically delivered to the Senate of the Philippines from the Special Board of Canvassers for overseas absentee voting, local absentee voting, and detainee voting. With all the 171 COCs tallied, Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. and Davao City Mayor Sara Zimmerman Duterte obtained the highest number of votes among the candidates for President and Vice President, respectively. Senate Marcos Jr. received 31,629,783 votes, or a lead of more than 16,593,010 votes over his nearest rival. Vice President Maria Leonor Robredo. For the vice presidency, Mayor Sara Duterte received 32,208,417 votes and had a margin of over 22,879,210 votes over her closest rival, Senator Francis Nepomuceno Pangilinan. The 2022 electoral campaign period has been polarizing, with the country reeling from the impact of a global pandemic and other major calamities and disasters. It was evident that the nation was divided as to what direction to take in order to move forward. But the majority has spoken. It is high time that we listen to their voice and uphold the outcome of our democratic process. Let us heal the wounds of the political division, brace ourselves for the challenges ahead, and move forward as a strong and united Philippines. Let us be prepared to work harder for the nation and give our full support to the new leadership. At the end of the day, we are all Filipinos, and we want nothing than to see our beloved nation chart its own course and ultimately triumph. On this note, I urge the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives in this joint public session to approve the report of the Joint Committee embodying the resolution of both houses proclaiming Honorable Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. as President and Honorable Sara Zimmerman as Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. Maraming salamat. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas at ang buong sambayanang Pilipino.
Majority
Thank you,
Leader.
Mr. President. Mr. President, out of my excitement of my speech, I forgot to make the same motion. On the part of the Senate panel, Mr. President, we respectfully recommend to Congress, as the National Board of Canvassers, in joint public session, approving the report of the Joint Committee and resolution of both houses, number 1, declaring the results of the national elections held on May 9, 2022 for the office of the President and Vice President, and proclaiming Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos and Inday Sara Zimmerman Duterte as the duly elected President and Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. I so move, Mr. President.
Majority Leader, we would like to
Yes.
entertain a formal motion for the
the
adoption of the resolution.
Yes. Mr. President, we're now ready to proceed to vote for the adoption of the report and the accompanying resolution. On the part of the Senate, I move for the approval of the report of the Joint Committee and the adoption of the accompanying resolutions of both houses, number 1.
Distinguished members of the Senate, there is a motion by the Majority Leader approve the report of the Joint Committee and to adopt the accompanying resolution of both houses number 1. As many as are in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
As many as are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. On the part of the Senate, the report of the Joint Committee is approved and the resolution of both houses of number 1 is adopted.
The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, we now proceed to vote for the adoption of the report and the accompanying resolution. On the part of the House of Representatives, I move for the approval of the report of the Joint Committee and the adoption of the accompanying resolution of both houses number 1.
Distinguished members of the House of Representatives, there is a motion by the Majority Leader to approve the report of the Joint Committee and to adopt the accompanying resolution of both houses number 1. As many as are in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye!
As many as are against, please say nay. The ayes have it. On the part of the House of Representatives, the report of the Joint Committee is approved and resolution of both houses number 1 is adopted.
The Majority Leader of the Senate is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On the part of the Senate, pursuant to the adopted resolution of both houses number 1, I have the honor to move for the proclamation of the
Duly elected.
duly elected
President.
President of the Republic of the Philippines and the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. It was in a blank. It was
Yeah.
blank, Mr. President. I wanted to make sure that one was not ahead of the other. So I was
Aye.
worried about that blank.
I have it.
Thank you, Mr.
Is
President.
there any objection? The chair hears none. On the part of the Senate, I proclaim Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines. And Sara Zimmerman Duterte as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
The Majority Leader of the House of Representatives is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives and pursuant to the adopted resolution of both houses number 1, I have the honor to move for the proclamation of Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines and Sara Zimmerman Duterte as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. On the part of the House of Representatives, I proclaim Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. as the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines and Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio as the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
We shall now proceed to the approval of the Journal of the Joint Public Session, and for this purpose, the Senate Majority Leader is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. On the part of the Senate, I move that the Honorable Senate President be authorized to approve the Journal of the Joint Public Session and that such approval shall be considered as the action of the Senate of the Philippines.
Any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved.
The Majority Leader is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move that the Honorable Speaker be authorized to approve the Journal of the Joint Public Session, and such approval be the considered as the action of the House of Representatives.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved.
The Senate Secretary is now directed to turn over the consolidation and canvassing system, the machine, and return all the ballot boxes as well as all the pouches containing the certificates of canvass and election returns to the Commission on Elections. So directed.
President, on the
Your
part of the
leader.
Senate, I move that we designate the members of the Senate panel for the Joint Committee as members of the Notification Committee.
If there is no objection, the chair appoints the members or designates the members of the Senate panel of the Joint Committee as designated members of the Notification Committee.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move to designate the members of the House panel of the Joint Committee as members of the Notification Committee.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved. The members of the House panel of the Joint Committee are designated as members of the Notification Committee.
Mr. President,
Yes, go ahead, Majority Leader.
on the part of the Senate, I move to suspend the joint public session to notify the duly elected President and Vice President of the proclamation and invite them to the rostrum.
Is there no objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved. On the part of the Senate, the joint public session is suspended.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House of Representatives, I move to suspend the joint public session to notify the duly elected President and Vice President of their proclamation and invite them to the rostrum.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint public session is suspended.
Seen the official proclamation of President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte. That was Congress convening as the National Board of Canvassers in a joint public session, making the proclamation. They suspended the session for a few minutes to wait for both officials to go inside the plenary hall for the usual action where we see the official proclamation, where we see the Senate President and the House Speaker raising the hands of the winning candidates. The proclamation was, of course, contained in a joint committee report approved and in a joint resolution adopted by both houses of Congress in a joint public session. Thank you for watching our coverage. Newsnight is up next. I'm Ruth Kabat. Good evening.
Episode of Business Matters, celebrating 50 years as one of the leading providers of affordable nutrition for Filipino families, and also makes impact in nation building through its outstanding corporate purpose responsibility programs for dairy farmers, livelihood, and the environment. All of this and more on Business Matters.
There is always a suspicion that a new virus might emerge.
You can imagine the nightmare scenario where you just have a vast epidemic with many cases leading to a huge mortality.
We are now in a world where new pathogens will come out that will constitute a threat for humanity.
Adventures. We're going to talk about how to look and feel your best.
Ano nga ba mga bagay na dapat i-share at dapat hindi?
We're taking you to new destinations and eco-friendly tourist spots. Let's get moving.
Hashtag proud moment.
Ganda nun. Always rise up, and for sure, you will always get there.
What we put in our bodies is actually what keeps us going.
I am doing this because this is my passion.
There's money you earn, spend, and save. Then there's money you set aside to make more. Investments that are made in stocks, shares, bonds, or properties, just to name a few. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. They're all part of the ups and downs of any business, of any economy. These developments can affect our investments. They can get complicated. But we will make sense of them all, right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business, on CNN Philippines.
We all get information all the time. What we pay attention to is what makes the difference.
What are you afraid of?
Really being seen, being judged, being hurt.
I like being called she sometimes.
I'm non-binary.
I use they, them, and he, him pronouns.
This addiction that we're seeing is not by accident, it's by design. It's psychological terrorism.
We have hundreds and hundreds of furries going through the hotel. What are guests gonna think? It is weird, but it's fun. It is an exciting time to be a woman right now.
I am not ashamed of being mentally ill.
How do you think the gang problem can be solved?
There's no excuse for this. Meth has no boundaries. It is a demon.
In the end, it feels like it takes your soul.
Samahan niyo kami ni Kyle as we pedal to the world of hiking.
Pag narating mo yung lugar na yun, hindi mo akalain kaya mong abutin to ng nakabike ka lang.
Welcome to the show that revolves around cycling. This is
Cycling Unlimited.
Good evening, everyone. This is a special edition of Newsnight where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Rico Hizon, sitting in for Pio Ontiveros, who is at the moment at the Batasan Pambansa Complex. It is official. Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is now president-elect. After more than 3 decades since a revolution toppled the regime of his father, the late former dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr., Bongbong has been elected as the 17th president of the Philippines. And just moments ago, Congress, sitting as a National Board of Canvassers, proclaimed Marcos as the winner in the May 9th polls with a huge margin over 9 other contenders. Marcos's running mate, Sara Duterte, has also been proclaimed as vice president-elect. The daughter of President Rodrigo Duterte was present for today's ceremony at the Batasan Pambansa in Quezon City. We're seeing right now live pictures from the House of Representatives, where the Senate Majority Floor Leader, Mig Zubiri, and the House Majority Floor Leader, Martin Romualdez, are accompanying the President-elect, Bongbong Marcos, and the Vice President-elect, Sara Duterte, into the main hall of the Batasang Pambansa. Well, what we can see at the moment are President-elect Bongbong Marcos being escorted by the Majority Floor Leader of the Senate, Senator Mig Zubiri, and the Lower House Majority Floor Leader, Martin Romualdez. And as Bongbong Marcos, the President-elect, makes his way into the main hall of the Batasang Pambansa, He is getting congratulatory handshakes from many members of the lower house and from the Senate as we await his official proclamation and his arms raised by the lower house majority floor leader and the Senate majority floor leader and the Senate president and the House Speaker. The Senate president is Tito Soto. And he is currently making his way, waving to members of the lower house and members of the Senate and the people, close friends, relatives, and family members who are present for this proclamation. All right, let's cross over now to the Batasang Pambansa, where we are joined by my colleague, anchor and chief CNN Philippines correspondent, Pia Ontiveros. So Pia, the proclamation has been done. It has been announced by the House and by the Senate. What's going to happen next?
Yes, that's right, Rico. Just a little bit of a recap. At exactly 6:06 this evening and 6:08 this evening, the Senate President Tito Soto and House Speaker Lord Allen Velasco proclaimed Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. and Sara Duterte as the winners in the presidential and vice presidential race. Let's go back to the joint session. Let's listen in.
Joint public session is resumed.
To our duly elected President, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., to our duly elected Vice President, Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte, congratulations. You have been placed by God in this position for a reason. May He lead you into your purpose and may you live it courageously. In every step you take, may God protect you. I pray for God's blessings for your leadership, for you and your family. Congratulations.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate our President-elect, Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. Maligayang pagbati po, President BBM. To our Vice President-elect, Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio, congratulations, Ma'am Inday. Congratulations also, and thank you to the Joint Canvassing Committee, led by House Majority Leader Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, for the swift and fair canvassing that guaranteed the people's faith in our electoral process. Thank you to all the honorable members of the Joint Canvassing Committee and the Secretariat for your hard work and invaluable support in ensuring a historic canvassing that was finished in 2 days. Ngayong araw na ito, Congress bears witness to the unity of our country, a true partnership between the North and the South that has become the unity of all corners of the country. In previous elections, Filipinos voted for President and Vice President from different parties. Finally, this year, we will learn the importance of voting for a tandem, a uni-team that can work together, a uni-team that can collaborate with each other, and a uni-team that can push for a shared national agenda. The people have spoken decisively. This is not just your sweeping electoral victory. This is an overwhelming victory for all Filipinos. This is a victory of our democracy. The gracious acts extended by the camps of other candidates yesterday, which greatly facilitated our proceedings, show the best of what Filipinos can be, even in the most divisive of elections. Nakikita po natin ngayon ang tunay na lakas sa pagkakaisa at pagsasanib puwersa. We need a catalyst, and there is no better example than the unifying force that we have seen and we will see in a government led by President BBM and VP Inday Sara. The Philippines looks forward to your leadership. It is my great honor and privilege to congratulate you both today. Mabuhay po kayo. Secretary General.
Ladies and gentlemen of the 18th Congress, Honorable Sara Zimmerman Duterte, the duly elected Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines.
May we request the duly elected Vice President Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio to proceed to the rostrum.
May we also request the family of the duly elected Vice President Inday Sara Duterte to accompany her to the rostrum, please.
There you have it. Vice President-elect Sara Duterte is now, has her hands, her arms were raised by Senate President Tito Soto and House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco.
Ladies and gentlemen of the 18th Congress, Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr., the duly elected President of the Republic of the Philippines.
May we request the duly elected President Ferdinand Romualdez Marcos Jr. to proceed to the rostrum.
May we also request the family of the duly elected President Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. to accompany him to the rostrum.
And now going up the rostrum is the President-elect, Bongbong Marcos, together with his wife, the soon-to-be First Lady, Lisa Araneta Marcos. He's now being congratulated by Senate President Tito Soto and by House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco. Also accompanying the President-elect on the rostrum are his siblings, Senator Amy Marcos and Irene Marcos Araneta. The President-elect is also accompanied by one of his sons on the rostrum. And as mentioned earlier, now we're seeing the former First Lady, Imelda Romualdez Marcos, walking up the steps to accompany her son as he is officially proclaimed President-elect of the Republic of the Philippines, the 17th President of the Republic. He is now being handed the certificate as he is officially now the President-elect of the country. He will have his inauguration on the 30th of June. Martin Romualdez, who is a first cousin of the President-elect, is also on stage together with Irene, Senator Amy Marcos, his wife Lisa Araneta Marcos, and the former First Lady Imelda Marcos, who is now 92 years old. Still looking very well. His arms have been raised by the Senate President and the outgoing House Speaker. Pia? Pia, you're on the House floor.
Yes, Rico.
What is the mood? What is the mood right now on the House floor with President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte now being officially proclaimed as winners of the May 9th elections?
Yeah. We're here. We're in the second gallery, Rico, and we have a lot of. There are plenty in the audience, supporters of President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte. They broke out into BBM chants as Bongbong went up the rostrum para mataas ang kamay niya ni Senate President Tito Soto at the House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco. You saw Imelda, former First Lady, his mother, 92-year-old mother, struggling to get up to the rostrum to see her son being proclaimed by this joint session of Congress. Accompanied also, BBM was accompanied also by his sister, Senator Amy Marcos and Irene Marcos Araneta, and his family, his wife, Lisa Araneta Marcos, and one of their sons. If I'm not mistaken, that was Vinny. Was it Vinny or Simon? But anyway, we're going to have to allow this joint session of Congress to close. So let's go back to the floor.
Therefore, Mr. President, on the part of the Senate, I move that we adjourn this historic joint public session.
On the part of the Senate, this joint public session is hereby adjourned.
Majority Leader of the House of Representatives.
Mr. Speaker, on the part of the House, I move to join the joint session.
On the part of the House of Representatives, this historic joint public session is adjourned.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Joint public session has been adjourned. There you see on the rostrum the outgoing Senate President, Tito Soto, and the outgoing House Speaker, Lord Alan Velasco. We saw very close family relatives together with the President-elect, Bongbong Marcos, on the rostrum. But when Vice President-elect Sara Duterte went up on the rostrum, she was on her own, without any family members, Pia.
Yes, that's right. Sarah had flown in from Iloilo, and we were told that her husband, her children, or even her brothers, Baste and Paolo, would not be able to join. Her. So, this is. This concludes this actually hindi 2 days canvassing, less than 2 days, and as a matter of fact the actual canvassing, yung pagbubukas, pagtali ng COC, nag-umpisa kahapon 2:30 ng hapon, and it ended at around 3:30 this afternoon. So a little over 25-hour canvassing. This has never happened before, and that's because of the automated election system, the fact that Romney Macalintal, as lead counsel of VP Lenny, and lawyers of Isko Moreno manifested that they would no longer interpose any objections. And also the fact that napakalaki ng lamang ni BBM sa pumangalawa sa kanya, si VP Lenny Robredo. Just to repeat, 31.6 million votes, that is 57% of the vote. That has never happened before. Sarah has 32.2 million. Is 61.53% of the total votes. So what we saw here today is the Senate and the House of Representatives exercising its constitutional mandate to canvass the votes for President and Vice President and to declare the winners. In this case, the winners, of course, are Bongbong Marcos as President-elect. That's what we can call him now that he has been proclaimed, and Sara Duterte as Vice President-elect. Because she has been proclaimed, she now is VP-elect. On June 30, that is when the inaugural takes place. That is when BBM becomes the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines. Of course, there's a long story behind this campaign. It's very, very bitter, very highly emotional campaign on all sides. As a matter of fact, maraming mga supporters ng ibang kandidato na hindi matanggap yung resulta ng halalan, because we all knew what the result was late in the evening of Monday of election day. But now it has come to this. BBM is going to be the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines. Of course, it's a very unusual sight to have his mother come back here and his sisters come back here. By the way, everybody knows this Batasang Pambansa. This was built in 1978 by his mother, Imelda, to house the interim Batasang Pambansa, the parliament that her late husband, former President Ferdinand Marcos, the father of this next president, his parliament. And this is some sort of a, I guess this is what, the comeback of all comebacks. Can you imagine, after having been deposed from power and flown out of the country into exile for a few years, the family is back, and back now in a very big way. Of course, earlier, Aimee ran for Congress, for Governor of Ilocos Norte, Senator, BBM himself, Senator, Governor, Congressman. But this is the comeback. Imagine, he was president now, again, 36 years after his father was deposed. So there's a lot of history that's going on here and had gone on here. A lot of people have pointed out that his campaign theme of unity should find meaning in what happens from now on. Hold on, listen.
Pia,
Oh, Sarah's here.
Pia, of course, what is also important now that he has been proclaimed as President-elect, and Sara Duterte is now the Vice President-elect, the hard work now begins, fixing our troubled economy, tackling rising poverty, strengthening healthcare, dealing with inflation.
Si Sarah dito. Yes, Rico?
Yes, Pia.
Yeah, sandali lang. Mayor Sarah, hi. Can we get you, just on CNN Philippines, the cameras are here. Just a little statement. Just a little statement lang.
Opo, nagpapasalamat po po sa lahat sa tulong at suporta. Thank you!
Si VP-elect Sara Duterte just saying nagpapasalamat lang daw siya, trying to keep it short. There's a little bit of a ruckus on the floor. Of course, you have all these senators, a majority of the senators, a majority of congressmen, and the supporters of BBM, family, friends, relatives, very excited about this proclamation. Rico?
Yes, of course. You spoke to her, you asked her for a statement. She thanked the people. And now she is the Vice President-elect, Pia. And she will also be assuming the Department of Education portfolio, Sara Duterte. And of course, the hard work now begins, Pia, no? Now that we have a President-elect and a Vice President-elect, they have to turn around this economy. We have some major problems that have to be tackled, including rising poverty, strengthening healthcare, dealing with inflation, managing this humongous debt that is on the weight of Filipinos' shoulders, close to 13 trillion pesos. And everyone is saying that when the Duterte administration ends, ends on June 30th, it will be close to 13.5 trillion. So this is something that has to be addressed by the new president and vice president of the country. You have a lot of problems that they have to resolve, creating jobs, turning around this economy amidst the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, a lot of question marks as well, how the president-elect and vice president-elect will be running the country. So far, we've had some appointments to their cabinet, not a whole lot of them, over the past couple of weeks. You have the Department of Justice Secretary, Boying Remulla. You have the Executive Secretary, Vic Rodriguez. You have the DOLE Chief, Bienvenido Benny Laguesma, who was previously as well Labor Secretary in a previous administration. You have the Migrant Workers Chief, Susan Tuts Ople. And you have the Press Secretary, Trixie Cruz Angeles. And one major appointment has been given for the economic team of President-elect Bongbong Marcos, and that is Arsenio Balisacan. Everyone is awaiting who will be the next finance secretary, the budget secretary, so on and so forth, because a lot of international investors are indeed awaiting for the names that will make up Marcos Jr.'s economic team. They say that these names are important. They need to be credible, especially to the global financial community. Pia, are you still there? What else is happening on the floor of the House?
Hi, Rico, hi, sorry. We're out here, I'm out here sa lobby. I'm just trying to make
You're
my
running
way
around, Pia.
so that we can try and get... Sorry.
Okay, our signal to Pia Ontiveros, who is in and out of the House floor. He's okay. Currently, she is trying to look for some of the personalities involved in this proclamation, and Vic Rodriguez, who is the incoming executive secretary, is about to give a statement. Let's listen in.
Thank you.
Sir, when can we expect PCG's cabinet, sir? Sir, what's the plan for PCG?
Many times as well, and I know you were listening, that he will even in fact strengthen it if the condition would warrant, meaning law permitting. We have to review its how to further strengthen it as an anti-corruption instrument
Kasi kung
tool.
expanding it, meron ng ombudsman, sir. So, paano po yun?
So there was a question there from the media, how the new president-elect will handle the Presidential Commission on Good Government. As we all know, the PCGG was formed in 1986 by the Aquino administration under then late President Corazon Aquino to retrieve billions of dollars of assets during the during the tenure of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr., the father of the President-elect Ferdinand Marcos Jr. So that was a quick statement from the incoming Executive Secretary and who is still the spokesman of President-elect Bongbong Marcos, Vic Rodriguez. Okay, now let's cross over again back to the House. There is an interview, maybe a quick statement from the President-elect, Bongbong Marcos. Let's listen in.
Sir, how are you feeling right now?
I'm humbled. I am humbled because for anyone in public service or in a public life, the most valuable thing you may receive from a fellow citizen is their vote. Because embedded in that vote are their hopes and their aspirations for the future. But also embedded in that vote are the trust and the confidence that they give to you to take them to that aspirational future. And that is why to have received over 31 million votes from our countrymen is as valuable a expression of trust as can be had by anyone in public life. And so for that, I thank our people. And beyond that, I promise you that we may not be perfect, but we will always strive to perfection. Thank you very much. I congratulate all of those involved in the electoral process, the COMELEC, all our teachers, our BEIs, up to the National Board of Canvass here in Congress, for what I can say is, in my experience, the best run election that we have seen, and that it has reflected truly the voice of the people and the choice of the people. So I am inspired by this responsibility that has been given me. So I ask you all, pray for me, wish me well. I want to do well, because when a president does well, the country does well. And I want to do well for this country. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. But what are your questions, sir? Sir, a few questions, sir.
There we heard a short statement from President-elect Bongbong Marcos. He thanked the people, the over 31 million people who voted for him. He asked the people to pray for him, that he will do well for the country. He also thanked the COMELEC and the National Board of Canvassers and the teachers who were all part of this electoral process on May 9th. He said that he was humbled by this victory. And he said that embedded in the vote that he received is the hope and trust and confidence of the Filipino people. And he hopes that he will do well as President of the Republic, and he hopes and promised, though he is not perfect, will always strive for perfection. And that was some nuggets of hope from the President-elect, who will be inaugurated on June the 30th as the 17th President of the Republic of the Philippines. And he also referred to the high voter turnout, which is at 82%. And that translates to over 55 million votes compared to the overall number of voter registrants of 65 million. And it is the first time that an elected majority president and vice president, a tandem, have been voted into office. Because in the previous elections, there's always been a different president and vice president. That, of course, in 1986, when you had President Corazon Aquino and Vice President Salvador Laurel, a tandem that took over the administration that was deposed by the People Power Revolution under the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos Sr. So right now we're seeing pictures from the house of from the floor of the lower house. It's starting to thin out as the proclamations have been made this evening of Vice President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte. And as we know, top diplomats have already met with the President-elect, the Japanese Ambassador Kazuhiko Koshikawa, the South Korean Ambassador Kim In-chul, the Indian Ambassador Shambhu Kumaran, and the United States Chargé of the Fair Heather Variava, all meeting with the President-elect over the past week, giving him congratulatory messages from their respective governments. And of course, the President-elect has also had congratulatory messages and has spoken to some of the global leaders like US President Joe Biden. You have Chinese President Xi Jinping, the outgoing Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison, Japanese Prime Minister Kishida, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, and leaders from the European Union. So it is official. We have President-elect Bongbong Marcos and Vice President-elect Sara Duterte. Well, in just less than 2 days, the Senate and the House of Representatives, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, finished the canvassing of the votes. Well, this is considered as the fastest and a milestone for the Philippine Congress. And based on the official website for the canvass, as of 5 this afternoon, which is now flashed on your screens, Bongbong Marcos had over 31.6 million votes. That's more than double the numbers of his longtime rival, Vice President Leni Robredo, who got a little over 15 million votes. For the vice presidential race, over 32.2 million people voted for Sara Duterte. At second place is Robredo's running mate, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, with 9.33 million votes. The figures translate to 98.84% or 171 out of the 173 certificates of canvas or the COCs. No word yet if these are the same numbers reflected in the Joint Committee report. And once again, we have breaking news at this hour. Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte are now President and Vice President-elect. Let's look back at the moment Congress proclaimed them as winners in the May 9th elections.
In every step you take, may God protect you. I pray for God's blessings for your leadership, for you and your family. Congratulations.
I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate our President-elect, Ferdinand Bongbong Romualdez Marcos Jr. Maligayang pagbati po, President BBM. To our Vice President-elect, Sara Zimmerman Duterte Carpio, congratulations, Ma'am Inday. Congratulations also, and thank you to the Joint Canvassing Committee, led by House Majority Leader Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, and Senate Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, for the swift and fair canvassing that guaranteed the people's faith in our electoral process. Thank you to all the honorable members of the Joint Canvassing Committee and the Secretariat for your hard work and invaluable support in ensuring a historic canvassing that was finished in 2 days. Ngayong araw na ito, Congress bears witness to the unity of our country. A true partnership between the North and the South has become the unity of all corners of the country. In previous elections, Filipinos voted.
And now let's cross over once again to the House of Representatives, and we're joined by our Chief Correspondent and Anchor, Pia Ontiveros. Pia, what's taking place right now?
All right, Rico, let me explain first where exactly I am. This is right in front of the Legislators' Executive Lounge. This is just right behind the rostrum of the plenary hall, yung back entrance ng plenary hall. Dito dumiretso si President-elect Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. I caught the tail end of an ambush interview with him, and what was striking to me was that he said, and I quote, "Pray for me and wish me well. I want to do well." For people to hear words like that from a president-elect, that should give us some food for thought. No, it was also interesting because when he asks for something like that, no, for people to pray for him and to wish him well, I distinctly remember the campaign theme that he always that always was part. Sorry, I have to remove this. There's a lot of static right now. Di ba yung campaign theme niya kasi was all about unity and about reaching out to other people. And I think those words, no, pray for me, wish me well. I think they show the fact that he realizes that we're coming off from a very divisive, very hotly contested election, and perhaps that is his one way of reaching out. I did not get to hear the first part of that ambush interview, but that was what I heard, and that's what struck me the most. No? But again, he said, "Pray for me, wish me well. I want to do well." So right now, he is still inside this Legislators' Executive Lounge. We presume he is with the different senators and congressmen that are allied with him. We do know that Martin Romualdez, his first cousin on his mother's side, his mother's nephew, is going to be the Speaker of the next House of Representatives of the 19th Congress. Of course, the Senate presidency, that's still up for grabs. It's not yet clear. Earlier, of course, what we saw was the approval by a joint session of Congress of the committee report of the Joint Canvassing Committee and the adoption of the resolution that declares BBM as President-elect and Sara Duterte as VP-elect. For now, they are President-elect and VP-elect. They will become President and Vice President on June 30th, 2022 at 12 high noon. Earlier also, I spoke to Amy Marcos, and she talked about the different plans for the inaugural, different ideas for the inaugural. There's Quirino Grandstand in Manila, which is a sentimental favorite for most presidents, obviously, and for their own father, 1965 and 69 inaugurals. There's Fort Santiago, something that they're thinking about. Of course, earlier I was explaining that this is, of course, a very historic moment because just 36 and a half years ago, or no, 36 years and 3 months ago, his father was deposed in what is now called the EDSA People Power Revolution of 1986, and here he is tonight, May 25, 2022, being proclaimed President of the Philippines. Rico?
So, for how much longer, Pia, will he be staying right there at the Executive Lounge? And will there be a victory celebration?
Hold on, Rico.
Yeah, Pia, what is likely to happen after this proclamation? Is he likely to celebrate with his family? Or will he be as well with the Vice President-elect Sara Duterte to celebrate the proclamation today?
Well, to be honest, I don't know if Sara Duterte is inside this legislators' executive lounge because when I got here, ang kausap lang ng mga media dito was BBM himself. In terms of celebration, I'm sure they're celebrating. Right now, what's happening is that people are just waiting around. I'm sure they're having dinner inside. And I'm sure, well, it is dinner time now, so lahat ata ng tao ngayon gutom, pati yung mga nandito ngayon sa labas ng mga media. Rico?
Of course, everyone is waiting. It's 7 o'clock in the evening. And of course, everybody also...
Yeah, speaking of waiting, Rico, you know, that word is so interesting, waiting, because that's what we did, hindi ba?
Yeah.
All throughout this canvassing, we just waited. And then, nung ipe-prepare na yung draft committee report, nung fina-finalize, nung pinipirmahan na ng mga miyembro ng Joint Canvassing Committee, all we could do was wait. And I guess that's the hallmark of journalism. Teka, wait, there's something going on. Okay. Si Benher Abalos nandun sa likod, DILG. Kaya lang there's a phalanx of bodyguards here that I'm sure they won't let me through. So, yun, Rico, that's what we have for now.
Well, Apia, of course, the hard work now begins for the Bongbong Marcos administration. There are a lot of problems that the country faces, particularly poverty, job creation, the economy.